Well, hello there. My name is Jamie J. I'm the CEO and founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance, where we help stop the bottleneck in your business. This is Live with Bottleneck, and I'm super excited to be talking with Milena Regos today. Unhustle. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Unhustle. So if you bear with me, let me get through this amazing introduction Magic Mike D, our video editor, put together for us. And we'll jump into this, and I'll show you why Milena can help stop the bottleneck in your business. Well, hello there. Welcome to Live with Bottleneck. My name is Jamie J. I'm CEO and founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance. This is not why we're here today. Why we're here today is talk to Milena Regos and how she's going to help you stop the bottleneck in your business. And we are going to be talking Unhustle, about Unhustle to move forward. And I absolutely love this. I'm a huge fan of Milena. I'm part of her community where we talk about all things on hustle and how do we wind down to wind up and all kinds of cool stuff like that. Why, oh why, can Milena help you stop the bottleneck in your business? Well, let me tell you. Milena is an international speaker, Wellbeing thought leader, lifestyle designer, award-winning marketer, writer, entrepreneur, and mom of Taz. I love that. That's my nickname too. Milena Regos lives at the crossroads where humanity, high-flow living, and high performance intersect. She has presented at the World Economic Forum at Davos, Wisdom 2.0, and Women in Data, sharing the stage with business luminaries and world leaders to activate change on a global scale. Her company, Unhustle, has been called amazing by Ariana Huffington, founder and CEO of Thrive Global, awesome by Julie Su, former VP design at Facebook, and legendary by the one and only Christopher Lochhead, #1 Apple business podcaster. Her work with Unhustle has been featured in CNN Business, NPR, Thrive Global, Authority Magazine, and too many podcasts to list here. So without any further ado, please allow me to welcome Milena Regos. How are you, Milena?
I'm doing well, Jamie. Thank you so much. That's quite the bio to read there. I'm embarrassed. Who put that together?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm my tongue is not working very well today, so I apologize. It should have sounded way better than that because you are just an amazing human being, and I am absolutely a huge fan of what you stand for in Unhustle. So I wonder if maybe you can elaborate a little bit on who Milena is and what you've been up to and kind of look what you're looking forward to.
Well, thank you. Who Milena Regos is a rebel entrepreneur. I came from Bulgaria, chasing the American dream and pursuing what we all know by society to be success, material stuff and titles and possessions. And I built a pretty decent marketing career for about 20 years. I started with working in a media company back in the .com era. I had to explain to people how to spell Google with parties. That dates me. And worked as a ski resort marketer for 10 years, actually. It was pretty good job. It was quite unhustled, got paid to ski. And eventually social media really took off. And I decided that being the entrepreneur mindset that I had back from when I was a kid, I started my first business at 17 in the Black Sea of Bulgaria, renting windsurfs at the Black Sea. So I wanted to pursue the entrepreneurial passion that once you have it, you always have it, right? And I started my own marketing agency. I ended up working with great clients, wellness companies, celebrities like Madonna and Steve Nash and Dr. Weil, still in the health and wellness industry, which is where my values are. But I ended up burning out. I ended up working 18 hours a day. I didn't know that bottleneck distant assistance existed back then. Sure, I had read the 4-hour work week, but we all know that that's not really possible.
We think
so,
it is.
so especially in the marketing industry, especially with social media, especially, surrounded with tech and sharing your attention between 3 different screens at the same time, sleeping with my phone. I had clients in Canada and Australia at the same time, build a small team. We did some good work, tried to keep our creativity, and won a few marketing awards. And at some point in time, I realized, what's the point of all of this? Like, am I really happy? All this success on the outside, all these sacrifices to get there. My health was suffering. I was drinking too much. I probably shouldn't talk about this, huh? I won't say I had a drinking problem.
I think it's got to be real.
But I won't say I had a drinking problem, but that's how I was managing my stress. I was skipping workouts to check emails and more check off more to-dos. And, it's never ending. That treadmill is just absolutely never ending. So how do you get out of that treadmill is the question I posed myself. My husband and I went on a 10-day digital detox trip to Baja California Sur, and I did not sign up for a digital detox trip. I didn't know there was going to be no internet there. So all of a sudden I realized that I am addicted to being online all the time. And to cure that addiction, I had to find something just as challenging and inspiring and motivational to do. So I decided to learn how to kiteboard.
Oh,
and
dream.
It scared the living. It scared me. It's a scary sport.
It looks awesome, though.
It's awesome, and it looks so easy to do, and it looks so effortless and so fun. And I was like, this can't be that hard. So I decided to do it. And out there in the middle of the ocean, fighting for my life, I was thinking, there's got to be more to life than just working.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what happened to all of my values from Bulgaria that had to do with freedom and flexibility and simple living and finding joy every day? And what happened to all of that? I mean, we lose it as entrepreneurs, not just as entrepreneurs, but busy professionals, leaders. Sometimes we get so addicted, our work becomes our identity, and all we do is work.
I have a question because, and this just popped into my head as you were talking about it, and I don't want to let it go. Do you think it's almost like as an entrepreneur, you have to experience the pain and agony of working long hours and, phone on your hip, 7 days a week before you can move into Unhustle? Or is this a mindset that you can learn right from the get-go?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, there's research that shows that entrepreneurs, the way we're wired, our brains are wired, especially for entrepreneurs, is very similar to the same way parents' brains are wired. So we look at our businesses the same way. We get the same emotional connection with our businesses we do with our children. Now, I don't have children, so I can't compare it. But that's why when you hear, I don't have a baby, I have a business, my business is my baby, that's kind of speaking to the same. I don't know if you have to go through all the sacrifices in order not to, but I would assume most people who get into a business are very determined, very driven, very, they want to succeed. But the question is, what is success? And what are you sacrificing in the meantime? And when all the science and studies, which I studied ever since I started Unhustle, shows and points to the opposite direction, that in order to maintain your creativity, in order to maintain high performance, in order to be in it for the long run and not crash and burn, you also need a rest ethic. You need time off. You need time to recover. You need time to rest. You need time alone. You need time with your thoughts in order to have that difference, that creativity that you can't get by just working on your computer.
Oh, amen. See, I appreciate that side of it. You've really spent a lot of time there researching, and that in my opinion, it's almost like the Unhustle movement is so appreciated after what I've gone through. I mean, I remember my wife telling me like, I'd go to bed at 3 a.m. and I'd be back up at 7 or 8. And I mean, this is nonstop. And she's like, you need to stop. We need to take a break. And then I'm going out there and I'm having anxiety. Like, oh my gosh, we'd be out on the lake and like, oh man, I forgot to do that. I forgot. Oh man, we have to do that. And then now it's in knowing what this Unhustle is, I get so much more done in a less amount of time. And my 4-day weekends, which are pretty regular, are stress-free. Like this past weekend, we were gone for 2.5 days. No big deal. It didn't affect anything. But boy, it sure took me a long ass time to get there and to figure that out. Like, man, am I slow?
So let me ask you this question, because I'll tell you what I did to make that shift. But I want to first find out, what did you do to make that shift? Like, what did you, and do you have, was it of a time long process, or was it like overnight, all of a sudden?
It was my wife telling me.
It was your wife?
At the time, she was my girlfriend. But I loved her just as much then. And she said, Jamie, you can't sustain this. It's just, you can't. So I like, man, she's right. And it took me a while after that, but that was hey, Jamie, get going on this.
Yeah. And oftentimes that's what happens, you failed marriage or disrupted relationships, some kind of health issue. Thankfully, my husband's very understanding. He never really told me like, don't work. Well, he did in a way say, you're working too much and this isn't sustainable and you're never present with me. And my ex-boss, the one from the media company, had just gone through a divorce because she did put her business before her marriage. And I knew I didn't want to go there. So
yeah,
I, like you, it hurts when the people around you, the people who love you, are like, this isn't sustainable, this isn't normal, what are you doing? Then you start asking yourself, why am I doing this in the first place? Because we justify it real easy. I have to make the money and just provide for the family and pay for the credit card bills and send the kids to college. But then the reality of the situation is your loved ones don't want. I mean, yeah, sure, we need money to survive, obviously. We need some kind of level of financial security and stability. But that's not sustainable over the long run. So would your loved ones really want their people at home being present, or people in hospitals?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do you know Damon John, that guy? I think he's on Shark.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I think he wrote the book on Hustle, didn't he?
I don't know, but he had the FUBU or Fuju clothing on. Anyways, I remember reading an article on him, and he was so busy. He told his wife, he's like, just take the kids. I don't have time for them. And nowadays he's completely revamped and said, whoa, yeah, don't want to do that anymore. And I think
he wrote the book on Hustle. Yeah.
Did he really? Oh man.
I think so. Well, and it's not just him, right? I mean, I used to follow Gary Vaynerchuk, and so hustle is the most important word ever. Really? Oh. No, human is the most important word ever. Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm fighting for. It's like putting humanity before hustle. And in all my research and in looking at what the real successful people do, it all points to the same thing. They don't work 12, 14, 16 nowadays. Sure, some business leaders spend that amount of time to bring their businesses, and that's why all the stories of like burning the midnight oil, that's why people think you have to do this in order to be successful. But the real successful people have a multi-dimensional life. You and I were talking about, living on a boat, sailing across an ocean, taking, a month off to go and disconnect from technology and shift your perspective and look at your company, and like all of a sudden you see all these different solutions coming up from a completely different perspective. You know this, you write a book. You know that when you walk outside and go for a walk, you get more creative ideas. Your neuron firing these different solutions that you can't do while you're stuck in emails.
Yeah.
But a big part of what helped me, I have to say, was mindfulness training. And so it was in the midst of that mindfulness training that I started. It was a pretty serious training with, I did the Human Potential Coaching Institute. In it, we had an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction training. And that was life-changing for me. That and going to Baja and living a very simple life for like 3-4 months, which allowed me to, sync my circadian rhythms and walk barefoot. And we didn't have any internet at the Airstream we were living in. So I had to have an end to my day, which was like a clear boundary, because I had to go work at the coffee shop. And then once I was out of there, it was time to live and play and windsurf and kite surf and have fun with my friends. And all of a sudden I was looking at, and so because I had this shrunk time period to get my work done, I had to realize what's most important, what are my priorities, and what absolutely needs to happen, how to get it done in the easiest amount of time. Jamie, it was the only time that I was able to really, really prioritize.
Wow. And it's almost, and people are just like, I can just hear it now. Well, there's no way I could take a month off, and and now part of the Unhustle movement, which I believe, and I subscribe to pretty much everything you do. I absolutely am a huge fan. But I think part of that is for people that are thinking about making the move, or to kind of reduce the stress, whatever it is. It's okay to still work hard, every once in a while. And there's deadlines that you can put onto yourself, and there's still things that you can do to really work. But it's kind of a change in mindset. It's kind of an overall picture, in my opinion. I wonder, can you elaborate on that? Am I way off base there, or do you think
no, you're good.
Still allowed to work? Right?
Well, first off, I love work and I love what I'm doing. I have a purpose bigger than myself, and that's what gets me up in the morning. Second, you and I are working fairly close, and you know that I'm doing a lot of stuff. So as much as I try to get everything done in, let's say, 7 hours a day, I still, I'm working on my book right now. So I would take an hour or two on a weekend so I can write, right? And I don't look at that necessarily as working, but I look at it more as a creative project. Mm. When I'm not letting any other deadlines and priorities flying at me. And you certainly don't need to take a month off to start going on this path. The whole idea is that you create better boundaries with your time. You get more clear with your priorities, because we just think we have to get everything done. In reality, we don't. You get better at identifying what are really the things that are helping your business and what are really the things that are busy work. And the one thing that's helped me a lot is being able to work in a state of flow and training to get into a state of flow, so that,
what does the state of flow mean to you?
It means, when you're completely in the zone. It probably happens to you when you're writing your book and you forget about everything else. So it's when athletes, top athletes, creatives, get into the zone where time slows down, everything around you gets really quiet, and you're fully doing one thing, and just this one thing. You have very clear goals. You say I'm gonna write 5,000 words, and I'm allocating 3 hours to do this. And you take a break in the middle, but you're fully focused. There's nothing, no distractions, no multiple tabs, no checking emails. Mm-hmm. It takes 23 minutes to recover your attention when you switch your focus from one project to another. And at the same time, we get distracted 11 minutes. So every 11 minutes. So we're constantly behind. We can't catch our attention. So basically, I've been studying and researching the neuroscience behind how to protect your attention. And that's why mindfulness comes into place. How can you work more mindfully and live more mindfully? So when you're working. I mean, you are working. You're not distracting shopping and you're not going on Instagram. And then when you're recovering, you're really recovering. scrolling on Instagram,
Yeah.
watching Netflix. So it's more like looking at
Kite
work
surfing.
and living like a top athlete, full recovery, full work. Now, if somebody can't take a month off, which is completely understandable, where would you go anyway? Because we're still in the midst of a pandemic. Just take Fridays off. Experiment. It's summertime, right? Take Fridays off, or make yourself stop at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. You know what's funny? Most people, before they go on vacation, you know how much work you can get done that day before you go on vacation?
A ton.
Right? Why can't we do this every day?
Yeah.
Why can't we work the exact same way? Because the reward isn't there, right?
Right.
But what if it was there? So what I try to do in the off time is I try to do things that I really love. I just bought a one wheel. Thanks, Christopher Lockhead. He was like, get a helmet. So yeah, I got a helmet. I just bought a one wheel because I loved it. And it's challenging. It's something that puts you in flow. It requires for you to be focused. It works, it's working on your balance. And it's just a fluid movement, but I just really love it. It's something new, exciting that I want to try out. I want to learn. So it's challenging enough, right?
Yeah.
But not too challenging, which is again a flow thing. If you're dealing with something that's too challenging, like let's say I'm trying to figure out some technology thing and it's way over my head, it puts you in a state of anxiety.
Yeah,
and you get,
frustration creeps in and I can't figure this out.
I gotta call Jamie. I can't figure this out. But then if you do something that's like matches your skill levels, like, oh, I can write a book, it just makes you easy cruising. And so spending more time in flow, and flow produces more flow, is a well-being strategy. There's books written about it, about how it puts you into a top well-being state.
I love that. So, and the reason I asked is because I've experienced flow 2 times in my life, and both times, more than that, but where I really learned about it. And that's basically why I try to have where I enjoy 70% of what I do, flow state. 30% is stuff that doesn't give me energy, but I know I'm going to reward myself by doing that 70%. Because I really like this stuff, right? Like I'm excited. I was excited to chat with you today. And just before this, I'm dealing with like credit card stuff, right? Like
right.
I'm going to reward myself and get
right.
So, but it also came. I used to race motocross, and I practiced for years and years and years and years. And I remember I got to go to a special practice in Carlsbad, California, with, at the time, the national champion, the 250cc world champion and national champion. And we got to go practice with them. My mechanic used to be his mechanic, and that's how they introduced us. Anyways, when I used to go practice, it would take me 3.5 hours, get out there, suit up, practice, take a break, get water, check the bike. Not these guys. Ricky Johnson and Jeff Stanton, those 2 racers right there, would go out and they turned out a 45-minute moto. And I'd ride out there with them and try and stay, and I'd follow their lines to see what they were doing. Then I'd like, wow, I got to check these guys out. And I'd stop and I'd watch them, and they're still going. Then, I mean, they rode hard. And then they came and I was like, oh man, thanks guys. And he was, Ricky Johnson turned to me and he said, Jamie, why'd you quit? I said, well, I wanted to watch you guys. He's like, no. You get out there, you do the work. I'm done. You're going to go back out there and ride for another half hour, 45 minutes. I'm out. I'm going to go race my RC car, And I thought, he was just out there. He did it. He's gone. He's done. He's off. He did his work. He's going to go do something else now. And I thought, that's amazing. And I got that same feeling when I play hockey. I play hockey. And that's why I do it once or twice a week. I don't think about anything else. Yep. I just get out there and I'm playing hockey, and when I come back, I'm so energized.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happened with me kite surfing, because it was so new, it was so challenging. At first, it was very frustrating. But once I got the hang of it, all of a sudden, I'm still very focused and I can't think of anything else. That's why I got completely addicted to it. But we were going to help people if they can't take a month off. I don't know if you saw, but Iceland did just release their 4-year study about working 4-day weeks. They did a trial. Yeah, they did a trial. The whole country of Iceland did a small trial with quite a few people in the country. And after finding out that less work means less stress, more well-being, more happiness, more productivity. Now, and there's so many companies now going on a 4-day work week just because it gives you more time for well-being practices of any sorts. Now, how would that apply to an entrepreneur? Right. And my solution is not a 4-day work week. My solution is you got to try what works for you, right? My solution is fewer hours, but more consistent because I like that rhythm. It's like part of ritual, part of like my daily ritual is to get some work in. So what I'm getting at is people have to figure out what works for them. Whether it's, we were talking about sprints, like you did with the motorcycle. Whether you sprint and you do like a 6-week project and then you take a week off, whether you do a 4-day work week, whether you do a 5-hour work day like Stefan Arstol did with tower paddle boards, all these things, all these practices can still lead to increased productivity, increased creativity, less stress, more well-being. But for some reason, we're stuck in an 18th century work model that originates from Henry Ford on working 9 to 5, 40-hour weeks. And for the entrepreneurs out there, that's more like 80-hour weeks. When we use our brains for work, that's an outdated model. And that's why I started Unhustle. Hustle is the worst possible advice that could be given to entrepreneurs because it's not sustainable. It doesn't help your well-being, doesn't help your creativity. Unhealthy. Completely unhealthy. You lose your relationship over it, and you could die from a premature death. I don't know. It's just really bad advice.
I totally agree. And if you go, there was a study in Sweden on all of their kids that went to school there, and they actually had less classroom time, more recess time, and they by far blow away. I think they were number 1 in the world for best grades and best retention and happiness and all that stuff. And
Sweden went on a 6-hour workday.
Did they really?
Uh-huh. Yeah. There was a great office design that basically had the chairs, the desk and the chairs would lift up to the ceiling at 5 o'clock. Oh. Sorry, you're done working.
I love that.
We can learn a lot from Europe. I think we can learn a lot from Europe. I just got an out of office email from somebody. I messaged somebody, right? And I had to laugh about it. I think I posted it on LinkedIn. But basically, the out of office email said, I'm currently out of the office, call me on my cell phone.
Oh, no.
And in Europe, they say, I have a work and a personal cell phone. I'm going on vacation. Work phone shut down for 4 weeks.
Yeah, if you're in Spain, hey, it's 11 o'clock. We're taking our morning wine.
Spain just went on the whole country went on the 4-day work week as well.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I tell you, there's something. I do 3.5 days a week.
Nice.
And I absolutely love it. My Mondays, I usually have 1 or 2, but my Mondays are super light. And then Fridays at 10 a.m., we take off and don't come back until Tuesday.
So how are you able to do this? Because we still have a lot to do, right? I mean, currently you run a digital assistant agency, so you can delegate work. But it's really scary for a lot of people, A, to delegate, and B, to come up with the systems and the processes in order to make sure it's up to par, right, with quality. So talk to me about the mindset for that.
Well, that's where I was asking, is it good to work hard so you can appreciate Unhustle kind of? Because I think there's a difference between working in and on your business. You hear this all the time. Oh, you have to work on your business, not in your business. Well, I disagree with that for a certain amount of time, because I think especially in the beginning of anything, you're going to work a little bit harder. It's just there's more stuff to do. And you have to build the systems, the processes, the workflows to get to where you want to do the stuff so that you can get to that 3.5 or 4, or, whatever it is, that whatever your goals are, right? Success means different things to different people. But for me, it took me a while, a couple of years, to get the systems down to where we could finally bring other people on that could support these roles. Because if you don't get what's in here out, that's going to be the main problem that so many people are frustrated in. Because I have all this stuff up here. As soon as you do a brain dump, start getting it out on paper, on a Google Doc, whatever it is you want to do, all of a sudden creativity starts flowing back in. And that's where you get maybe in a flow state. You get to do all, like for me, my book comes out August 31st as of the time of this recording.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
A month and a half away. I'm really excited. But I wouldn't have had the time to write that had I not had my systems and processes in place. So,
and did you write it in the 3.5 days, or did you write it the rest of the time too?
Oh, no. Yeah, I 3.5 days. I wrote it in that time. Yeah.
So you don't do anything else in the rest of the time?
Occasionally, every once in a while I'll do, but no, for the most part, we're gone. We make plans, or I did redo the office 2 weeks ago in here, but I took my time and I put a bird nest out back. My wife did her office this weekend. We go on motorcycle rides. We do stuff like that because if we don't, we can't charge up or fuel our brains to be effective for that 3.5 days. And it goes back to that example I talked about writing. I spent 3 or 4 hours doing what those pros did, #1 in the world, in 45 minutes. It's because he was like focused on it. And then he'd go do something like race remote control cars, like random,
Yeah, you gotta switch it up. Yeah. And you know me. I am still in the process of delegating and creating systems and processes, right? So I'm right in the midst of it.
How new is this Unhustle movement for you?
3 years. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how exactly is this going to work for entrepreneurs, because I knew instinctively that it's the right approach, but I had to back it up with the science and the studies and the practices in order to say, yeah, it can be done. I knew I could do it in Baja, disconnected from the internet, which puts you in a whole different planet. Yeah. But I didn't know how to bring that back to the States where there's high-speed internet and comparisons and social media and all these things we end up spending time on and chasing. And so I had to look into the practices and the research and the data and the science so I can say, yeah, it can be done. Which put me on a project of writing the book, which I've actually spent very little time on the actual business. It's been more about what's the framework, how does it work, what are the studies and the science showing, what are the successful people doing. That's why I started my podcast, because I wanted to interview other people and see the other stories and see what they're doing. And all these things, as you know, takes time. Now, my only rule with Unhustle is that I'm not going to hustle to get it going. So I have to find joy in what I'm doing each and every day, and knowing that I'm working on my purpose, knowing that I have my mission, and knowing that it's the right thing for me to do and it's the right message to get out there without stressing out about the outcome, which is really hard for an entrepreneur to do.
So I know
because our egos take over.
Yeah, and I know we're a little over time, but I wonder if you can just hold on a little bit more, because I have a question that I would love for you to answer. We need to make money. We got to pay bills, got to keep the lights on, So that's, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest pushbacks I would get. Well, what do you mean I got to do this to make money? I got to do this and this and this to make money. For me, it's 6 years with Bottleneck. I was able to live out what I'm doing now for probably the last 1.5 years, maybe.
Sure.
So it took me 4.5 years to kind of get to that point. But I had to make sure that this vehicle that I'm driving, that is my business, is taking me to where I really want to get to. I have a vision, but I want to enjoy the ride, but I still have to earn that money. So what do you say to people that this all sounds fine and dandy, but I don't have 3 years to wait to earn this money?
Oh, absolutely. We have to make money. I mean, ideally, we have a financial bank account and a soul bank account that we replenish every day. Now, all this research and the data shows that after about $83,000 a year, your incremental happiness doesn't necessarily increase that much. So based on where you live and based on your expenses, take this into consideration, because I've also spoken to some really, really well-off people, millionaires, billionaires. More money doesn't necessarily make you happy. I'm not saying go broke, but I'm saying be realistic with how much money you really need to make in order to have that balance and the boundaries in your life. Not just 5 years from now, but now, like today. Right?
And you can still work hard, but work in an unhustled type of way.
I have nothing against hard work. Work is part of what makes us human. Meaningful work makes us human, gives us meaning, gives us pride. What I have against is this constant notion of always on hustling, mindless activities leading to nowhere. This, never ever ending treadmill, checking emails 24/7.
Yeah.
We don't have to be responsive 24/7.
No, we don't. And I did tell you 20, 30 minutes. We've actually gone 40 minutes. So I want to be respectful of your time. How do people get in touch with you if they want to learn how to unhustle?
Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, everything is at unhustle.com. The website is unhustle.com. All the social media channels are Unhustle. And I'm working on my book. Hopefully that will publish this fall. And if it doesn't, it'll be this spring. But it will publish.
Well, I like you. I appreciate you coming out and letting us share the Unhustle book, The Art of Finding Your Flow, coming soon, because a lot of people have a hard time with that. But if you put it out there, somehow the universe has a way of supporting you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I'm looking forward to reading your book. It'll be very valuable for a lot of entrepreneurs.
I hope so. I'm deathly afraid of the initial reviews. So I guess to each their own, but I'm excited about it. It's just, I'm not a writer. So that being said, is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap today?
No, not really. I think we covered a lot, Jamie. Just enjoy your life now and do the work that matters.
Milena, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and just having a nice conversation. It's kind of refreshing. And so I just want to say thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And it's been a blessing getting to know you, and anything I can do, as always, please count me in. I absolutely love what you're doing. If you guys haven't been, if you got to go to unhustle.com. Milena, really quick, if you want to tell them a little bit about the community that you're developing.
The community, yes. I wanted to set up a community a while back, and again, it all comes down to time and effort, and I didn't get around to it until now. But now we have a community, and it's unhustle.com/community. It's not a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or a Slack channel. It's the idea is that you can connect with like-minded people, and you can have conversations in it based on whenever you have time to do so. So we're using a Mighty Network for it, and we have some really fun people in it. We do live trainings. We encourage each other and have some daily prompts. We have some monthly teams, and the whole idea is that it will be the foundation, the home for the Unhustle movement, where leaders and entrepreneurs can connect with each other and figure out how to work less and achieve more and have more time for well-being and high performance.
And it is a fan. I'm a subscriber. I'm a big fan of it. I enjoy. There's like you just interviewed one of your friends, and they're traveling around the country in their van. I just think it's so cool what you have going on there. It's all about the Unhustle.
But they sold their business, right?
They did.
And
They
that
built
was
it
their
up.
goal. That was their goal. They're like, we're gonna sell the business, and then we're gonna take 2 years sabbatical, and then we're gonna reinvent ourselves. So it's not just about getting a sprinter and traveling around the country. There is a plan there.
Yeah, I love it. Structured environment, always. Milena, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, Jamie, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Can you hold on just a couple seconds and I'll wrap up here?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. I have been talking to Milena. I promise you've got to go check out unhustle.com, unhustle.com/community. It'll open your brain, open your mind to the possibilities of actually living a truly fulfilled life. And we all have work to do. We all have to get to a certain place. Hopefully we all have goals. Maybe we don't understand what our vision is, but by going to unhustle.com and learning from Milena and seeing what's happening, you can almost design your own roadmap through the Unhustle movement, if you will. And I'm just a huge fan. So anything Milena is doing, I cannot recommend enough. So go check it out. That is unhustle.com. You can follow her on Facebook, Instagram, her podcast. You can go to anchor.fm/unhustle, and you get to listen to all kinds of cool Unhustle stories. So I just wanted to say a special thanks to Milena for chatting with us today. We talk about Unhustle to move forward. Milena Regos is the founder of Unhustle. She's absolutely amazing. If you want to hear other stories similar to this one, or if you're watching this in a replay or you want to subscribe, you can go to the Live with Bottleneck television. That is Bottleneck.Online/TV. It's YouTube, but I wanted to be in charge of where we direct people there so that you can learn how to break through the bottleneck in your business today. And as we talked about, quit repeating yourself. No, this isn't the cover. Cover design's coming out. Hopefully within this week, we're going to have a bunch of people voting on what the cover is. So we're super excited. It's going to be published date is August 31st, 9 months of working on this book, and it's finally coming to fruition. So I cannot I say enough about that. I'm super excited. And it's all about systems, processes, recruiting, hiring, and of course, culture and leadership. And then previously, if you missed this, we talked with Sandra Stackowitz. We talked to her this past Thursday, and she talks about why capable business owners never get their book written and published, and how to change it to unlock their legacy. And that was an incredible conversation we had. We had a lot in common, obviously, with my book coming out. Again, I want to say a special thank you to Milena Regos. Unhustle to move forward. She's founder of Unhustle. You can visit and learn more by going to unhustle.com. Without any further review, I want to say thank you so much. And don't forget to create your own ripple.